Hi there, welcome to another Murphy's Minutes. I know it's been a while, but we're back in Berlin on top of the KREUZBERG in the middle of a Berliner lockdown, so we've got a moment to spare to bring you Victoria Park with its purpose in summer and in winter. And this is, well, obviously winter, but I'll show you what it's all about. Well, as you can see, this park is actually designed to be a typical German Romantic period park, like Caspar Friedrich's painting of the Wanderer, with all these little paths and wanderways and everything. It's a great place for a stroll and a place for Murphy to find her friends again. I'm now standing in what looks like a rock garden. It's not. It's actually an artificial waterfall, a white waterfall, and it looks kind of impressive in summer. Water rushing down, white watering all the way down into the city, but it stops very abruptly, and this makes it very clearly an artificial waterfall. It's not difficult to understand where they got the inspiration for this park, right? Typical German Romantic period. This whole park has been inspired by this upwelling of extreme romantic ideas of nature and robust Germanic history and heroic views. Graffiti is, as you can see, an integral part of KREUZBERG, and even in such a beautiful park like this, graffiti is everywhere. For instance, take this statue over there. Alright, it's not the most pretty statue, but it needn't be covered in graffiti as it is. I think it's an improvement. Come on, Murph. As you can see, they have huge monuments here in the park itself. This one is of a very special day in Berlin. Actually, it was a very special day in East Berlin. However, we are in West Berlin. So the 17th of June 1953 was a day of great protest, but it was a great protest in East Berlin. Workers revolted against poor payment and a new way of being paid, and actually that's what they revolted about. Now, the West took this as the first big protest in the East against real socialism, and they took this opportunity to make it very visible. One of the most prominent streets in all of Berlin is named after this protest, the Straße der 17. Juni. Now, we'll get back to this whole story some other time, and probably this monument will return in that video as well. But it's funny to see it here. And another thing that's remarkable is the fact that it's a huge cross, because that has something to do with one of the favorite locations in Park Victoria on the KREUZBERG itself, namely a beer garden by the name of Golgotha. Now, Golgotha is the mount, if you well remember, where Christ was supposedly crucified. Come here. So from the 13th century onward, this hill was first mentioned in history, but not as the Kreuzberger or KREUZBERG. It was mentioned as Tempelhofer Hill or Mount Weinberg or something like that, because believe it or not, this hill was Europe's most northerly vineyard. And the wine they actually produced here was the so-called KREUZBERger. You can still get the KREUZBERger, but only on invitation, only if you know somebody in the Senate, because it's the Senate that's producing this wine for its friends or guests or whatever. You can't buy it in a shop anywhere. So if you ever come across a bottle of KREUZBERger, get it. You really want it. It's a very rare thing. So now we're climbing up the steps towards this pinnacle. You would expect this pinnacle to be standing on top of a church, but actually it's not a church. We're standing on top of a hill, a beautiful hill with a beautiful view around Berlin, where in summer you can get a nice refreshing cooling breeze. It's pretty much the only place you can get a breeze in summer around here. Now, if you walk around it, you see that on every side of this monument there is names of cities or towns or areas, and these all represent Prussian battles against Napoleon. And actually this whole monument is about Prussian whooping Napoleon's butt. The one city you probably cannot recognize right off the bat is the Belle Alliance. And the Belle Alliance is of course the one time that England and Germany fought together at Waterloo, and that is all a very, very familiar conclusion to what there happened there. Oh God. Originally this green pinnacle was actually standing right here on the ground, but 1878, 1879 they actually found out that the area around the neighborhood itself, the factories and the buildings grew up so high that the architectural effect of this whole thing was lost to nothingness. So they found some old plans of Schinkel, which included this fortress-looking natural stone building, and they decided to winch the whole pinnacle up 8 meters up into the air with an hydraulic lift, and built this fortress underneath. It has no military purpose whatsoever, and it's sort of like a cross between a castle and a cathedral. It looks like a castle on the outside, but it actually is a cathedral on the inside, but not a cathedral for people. It's a cathedral for bats, because that's what it is, a bat sanctuary. Now it's only occupied by them. It's actually a natural protected area. We're not allowed to go in there because they're now in winter sleep. But in summer, when they're active and flying all around, you can actually get tours inside this building. And as you can see on the picture, it's magnificent. It's actually also a storage location for some of Berlin's leftover sculptures that don't have any place to go yet, because the building they once ordained is actually broken off or broken down or bombed away or being renovated, and these statues are still in here. In KREUZBERG, you know that the local KREUZBERGers are a little bit different than regular Berliners. It has this atmosphere and it's very fun, a lot of fun actually. And one of those typical characteristics of the KREUZBERger is that they repurpose everything. So we have a lavatory building with a very famous burger restaurant in it. And here in the park, they also had a public toilet, this little public toilet, but now it's Cafeteria Victoria. So here you can get now Glühwein and fresh coffee and maybe a little snack to eat. But once upon a time, this was a little bit less of a gastronomic marvel in the middle in the park.